guys, welcome to today's Big Brother 17 updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Kelly. Thanks so much for watching, Kelly. And she wants to know, what are my opinions on Brittany Haynes from Big Brother 12? Love her. She's one of my favorite house guests of all time. So witty, so funny. I really wish she would have won one of her seasons because she's just... love her. Alright, so let's talk about where things are at. Yesterday, Johnny Mac and Steve were strategizing in the backyard, and Johnny Mac was like, "Alright, Steve, let's do it that time. We gotta win comps." So he's talking about how extremely important it is for them right now to win competitions and start making moves. But we know that Steve is planning on throwing this next HOH. He thinks he's all good. But Johnny Mac doesn't know that. So then, John is like, Vanessa's gotta go next, we gotta get rid of her. We have to stick with that. We know from Steve talking to himself that he wants to keep Vanessa around for a little while. He wants to target, well, he doesn't want to. He wants someone else to target James next. So then they're talking about the returning juror, and Johnny Mac is like, ideally, we want either Becky or Jackie to come back. We can work with them. They're gonna go after the Oz twins and Vanessa. If Vanessa's still around at that point. Worst case scenario is Shelly. And Steve is just like, I thought you were really close with Shelly. Like, wouldn't you want her to be back? And Johnny Mac is just like, no. If Vanessa's still here, she's probably going to team up with her again. And even if Vanessa's not still here, Shelly is unpredictable. They don't know what she's going to do. So Johnny Mac is like, no way. So it seems like John is finally waking up. They were talking about nominations for next week, and Johnny Mac has been talking about for a while how he's going after Vanessa, of course, but he was thinking about putting up James and Meg as pawns to get rid of her. But now he's realizing if he puts up someone like Meg or James next to Vanessa, the Oz twins could easily turn it around and just vote out the pawn and keep Vanessa. So that would be really sucky. So Johnny Mac is like, the pawn would have to be Steve or one of the Oz twins. And Steve's just like, whoa, you would nominate me? And Johnny Mac is just like, yeah, I would. Ah! Alright, but then again, you know, Johnny Mac was like, Steve, if you win HOH, like, you might have to put up me against Vanessa. You might have to. So he's pretty serious about this plan to get rid of Vanessa, but I'm glad to see, like, he's finally realizing, yeah, if you put up James or Meg, they're gonna go home. So then Steve brings up Vanessa again, and again he's trying to argue that they should keep her because she'd be such a great shield for them, and Johnny Mac's just like, no. Because if they keep Vanessa around, they're still gonna be the targets, because people are just like, oh, she doesn't have anybody, so why are we going to get rid of her? We'll just keep her around, whatever. I think he's got a good point there. So let's talk about Meg and James. They were comparing notes in the backyard, and Meg's like, guess what, James? I saw Steve and Johnny Mac talking to Vanessa earlier, and then you came outside, they stopped talking, you walk away, they start talking again. Pretty suspicious. So they're starting to think that Johnny Mac might be playing them, and they're nervous about it. They don't know if they can really trust Johnny Mac as much as they thought previously. No! Don't turn against Johnny Mac. He's like your only freaking hope. Okay, so last night's entertainment for the house guests, they put together a little BB court. So the case was that James threw this chocolate at Grandma, aka Meg, and injured her. So Austin was representing James, Vanessa was the prosecutor, Becky was the judge, John was the medical examiner, and everybody else pretty much, well, not everybody, but a couple of the other people were witnesses. So it was kind of like an improv class. They seem to be having a lot of fun with it, so whatever, it's all good. I just had some Big Brother Canada 3 flashbacks with Sarah's judge show with that crazy accent. But anyway, Austin and James James was convicted, and his penalty was 10 minutes in jail. So jail was standing behind the bars on the HOH staircase while the house guests threw chocolate at him. I think Austin was standing behind the bars with him actually too. So I guess when you go to jail, your lawyer goes to jail too. So Big Brother was like, stop that! And they said it a few times, and the house guests were finally like, fine, fun times are over. So then back to the game. Julia goes up to the HOH room to voice some concerns to Austin and Liz. She's really worried that Johnny Mac, Steve, and Vanessa are going to form some kind of group and come after them, because Meg also told Julia about how she saw them talking together in the backyard and the whole James thing and whatever. So Julia's just like, we can't have this. Like, what are we going to do? So Austin reassures her, like, listen. I was going to say something, but I forgot. Listen, Johnny Mac is 100% going after Vanessa. Like, there's no way he's going to work with her. Also, we can really trust Steve, or at least Austin thinks so. But it's kind of weird because they've been encouraging both sides to make a deal. And when I say both sides, or I should say both parties, Vanessa and then Johnny Mac and Steve, they've been telling all three of them, like, yeah, you guys should make a deal, because they want Vanessa to feel safe enough that she will throw the next HOH competition. So they've been encouraging that, but at the same time, Julia's, like, worried about it. It's really weird. But yeah, they've been telling Johnny Mac especially, like, make whatever deal you want with Vanessa and then just don't honor it. Alright, so then they were talking about this week's vote. They want to let Becky know at some point that she's going home. When's it gonna be? It should be soon because the eviction's coming up. Alright, so Becky and John were game chatting in the backyard last night. They talked for a long time last night. A little bit of game, a lot of personal stuff, whatever. So Becky was giving John some advice. I guess she knows that she's going this week. She's acting like she's not, but I think that's part of her strategy, which I talked about a few days ago. But yeah, it looks like she knows that she's going. So John was trying to figure out, like, which side is he going to work with after Becky's gone? Is it going to be James and Meg, or is it going to be the Oz twins? It seems like he's pretty much settled on the Oz twins because he doesn't see how he's going to make it to the end working with James and Meg. Because him and Steve, if they had, like, a group of 4 with them, him and Steve would be the targets in front of James and Meg. I mean, James is a pretty big target, but at the same time, he's very quiet. So he feels like he would be in danger working with James and Meg. Whereas if he's working with Oz twins, Austin and Liz are some pretty substantial targets in front of him. So it seems like he's leaning towards the Oz twins. But Becky makes a good point. Like, you're going to be on the outside with both of those groups because they've both been working together for a really long time. You and Steve are going to be the latecomers no matter which side you choose. So Alright, so then they were Johnny Mac was saying how him and Steve have to work really hard to win this next HOH competition, and Becky is not convinced that Steve is going to try to win the HOH. For reals, though. I'm glad she brought that up. And I hope Johnny Mac realizes that Steve is probably going to throw it. But then John is telling Becky, like, you're probably going to have a chance to come back in the house. Make sure you come in without a game plan so we can just, like, work together. I'll fill you in on whatever happened, blah, 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 blah. And win the HOH. That would be great. Okay, thanks, bye. So more about Becky. Her toe, one of her big toes, is all sorts of jacked up. I guess she had, like, a prior injury where, like, she kept losing the toenail or whatever, and then she, like, smashed it in the OTEV competition, so it's, like, all weird again. But she thinks that it might be infected. It's getting, like, really swollen. I think the toenail was, like, black. So Becky woke up this morning crying. She was in excruciating pain. Her toe was, like, it was gross. So she finally got some medical attention in the diary room, and yeah, it was infected. So they freaking cut her toe open to relieve the pressure and to drain it. So she comes back with it all, like, wrapped up. She's, like, hobbling all over the place. Yeah, it's really bad. So then it was a really exciting morning because that all happened, and then Austin made this crazy, amazing breakfast for Liz, but then he screwed it up because he messed up the coffee maker. Liz goes to reach for some coffee, and she was pelted with hot coffee. Like, it squirted out at her, and it got all over her, and it was really hot, and she was like, "Ah!" And she was really angry at Austin, even after that nice breakfast. So then Austin and Liz were chatting up in the HOH room, and they feel like Becky is really milking this injury. Liz is just like, wow, this is really convenient. Oh my god. So, you know what? I think Becky is actually in a lot of pain, but Liz was just like, come on, she's been hit by a train. I think she can handle this toe injury. But yeah, like I said, Becky seems to be in a lot of pain. It's supposed to be okay within the next few days, but I mean, it looks like she's going to the jury house anyway. I don't know. Today is eviction eve, so I would say, like, this is the day when things usually happen if they're going to happen, but it doesn't look like anything's going to happen. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Big eviction tomorrow, I guess. So until then, much love.